The NFL season has officially begun, and every year I can't help but wonder what would happen if all the teams were their mascots. Like how the games would go if all the players were their team names. I mean, there's 5 teams that are birds. I don't think they do so well. You got the Ravens, Seahawks, Falcons, Eagles, and especially the Cardinals. Those red little sky pimples will get popped so hard, especially because of all the animal teams. There are so many animal teams. Big cats aplenty in the NFL. You got Panthers, Lions, Bengals, Jaguars. You also got the Bears in there. They're tearing up all those little birds too, especially those puny Cardinals. They're swallowing them whole like the LL Cool Bird in Deep Blue Sea. Games where all the big cats and such play each other would be like a Nat Geo wet dream. They got some lesser animals in there too. They got rams, and they wouldn't beat a big cat or a bear no matter how many times they headbutted them. So I guess the Rams would keep the NFL tradition of concussions going. You got 2 horse teams, the Colts and the Broncos, and they probably wouldn't fare too well against the big cats. Maybe some kitties would get trampled, but I don't see the horses winning. They'd all still destroy the birds though, especially the Cardinals. The Rams would headbutt them into oblivion, and the horses would hoof those little mohawks right out of the sky. Maybe the Eagles could put up a good fight against the Rams though. There's also Dolphins, which would be very interesting. I think they lose all their away games because they'd all die from being out of the water, but they'd win all their home games because their opponents would just drown. And you got the Browns, which could be dogs, but I don't know. There are 4 possible options here: a smushy-faced doggo, a little elf man thing, a football coach, and a deceptively orange helmet. If it's just the helmet, they're getting beat by everybody. They'd forfeit or something for being inanimate objects. Smushy Face would get destroyed by all the other animals, maybe even some of the birds, but not the Cardinals. Hell, I think even the little elf man thing would get beaten by the birds. The coach wouldn't make it very far either, but he'd probably beat the birds. Maybe the Rams? But there are also a plethora of human mascots, and a lot of them got guns. The Patriots, they got guns. The Cowboys, they got guns. The Bills, named after frontiersman Buffalo Bill, they got guns. The Buccaneers and Raiders, they're pirates, they got guns. The Commanders, they probably got an army. They've got all of the most advanced guns. The Texans, they're Texans. Of course they have guns. They'd beat everybody they faced, probably. The Patriots and Bills have like muskets, so those would take a while to reload, so they might not do well against the ones with more automatic weapons. But the Bills have other weapons too, so they could use those. So would the pirate teams. Primitive guns, but they've also got swords, and apparently in the Raiders' case, very tactical spiky armor. Games between all of them would basically be very short war movies or Second Amendment porn. There are humans without weapons though. You got the Packers and the Steelers, and they're just factory workers, so they'd probably lose to everybody except the birds. The Chargers are just people running forward, so yeah, they'd probably run into some sort of furry or bullety death. Except the birds, maybe. The 49ers are gold miners, so they probably have some pickaxes. They can use those against the animals, but they probably wouldn't do very well against the firearms. The Chiefs continue the beloved American tradition of Native American stereotypes being used as sports mascots. They certainly have weapons, but probably not guns, and now I'm thinking of American history and what we did to our indigenous people, and that's making me sad, so let's move on. The Vikings wouldn't have any guns. They were around before those existed, but I think they'd still kick so much ass because they're Vikings. And then you got the Saints, and they're, Saints. They wouldn't fight anyone. They just show up, pray for peace and for everyone to be nice to each other or something, and then get destroyed. I even think they'd lose to the Cardinals. Just a slow, painful death by pecking. So based on all of this, it seems like the firearm fellows would probably fare the best. Until you remember that the Jets exist. The Jets would probably blow up everybody and take care of all the birds without even having to use any artillery. Especially if it's a true New York jet and it's a Sully plane. It happened 14 years ago and nobody died except the birds. I can joke about it. So the Jets have the best chance of everyone, right? Well, no, because the Giants exist, which are literally gigantic human beings. Much more durable than us regular-sized humans. They could probably withstand so much gunfire because their skin is a lot thicker, and then they just step on all the other mascots. And they'd probably beat the Jets, I assume. It'd be interesting, but yeah, I think they'd take the Jets and just swat them out of the sky. Like Ant-Man. The only team I could see putting up a true fight against the Giants would probably be the Titans because, Titans are giant, immortal gods who ruled over the earth until the emergence of the Olympic gods, so yeah, hard to beat that. Cats, factory workers, guns, birds, none of them could defeat the Titans because of the whole, immortal giant thing. Literal gods before the gods thing. Especially the Cardinals. They take one look at those Titans and evaporate. So I guess that's it. That's what would happen if the NFL teams actually were their mascots. The Titans would just lay waste to all their pathetic opponents. Feel better for having never won a Super Bowl, Titans fans? I'm not allowed to talk about that.